Hi everyone, Fudge here. Today this video is going to be about 5 hacks to make better bread. Who doesn't want light, fluffy, yummy bread? Hack number 1 is something that I don't think people really think about when it comes to cooking or baking, but it's have some patience. Don't get overwhelmed with the amount of time that the recipe says that you need to take to do the proofing, to do this, to do that. I think people often think, oh, 3 hours, what am I going to do? Just stand there and watch it? No, don't stand there and watch it. When I'm letting my bread rise, when I'm letting it do resting, when I'm letting it do its proofing, any of that stuff that has a long wait time, I go for a bike ride, I take my dogs to the park, I clean up my house a little bit, I watch television. Don't get hung up on the amount of time. The actual amount of time that you will ever spend mixing and kneading the dough and then shaping the dough in total will probably only be about 15 to 20 minutes. So don't worry about it. Hack number 2, always use, for your dough to rise in, one of these types of bowls. So this bowl is ceramic. So ceramic, clay, glass is okay if you know, you need to make sure that you only stick it in the oven for a few minutes. And again, when you're using your yeast, make sure you use a glass one of these and warm it up. So how do you warm it up, you say? This is how. So, cold oven. It's not on yet. There's my oven. A little messy. Put my glass in. Put my bowl in. Close the oven door, bake 350, timer on, 4 minutes. Once you put your bowls into the oven, they only need 4 or 5 minutes, but in that 4 or 5 minutes is the perfect time to get out all the rest of the ingredients you need, like flour, salt, milk. I like to use honey a lot, so that's the perfect time to be okay, I'm going to put my butter and my milk in a pot, put it on the stove, and let it start warming up. And then what happens is when you put your flour in, it warms up in the bowl. When you put your yeast in the water inside that beautiful warm vessel, it's going to proof right up. You're going to get all the bubbles. Everything's going to be nice and active. The only thing is that when you go to take it out, if it's too hot for you to lift out, it's too hot to put yeast in, it's too hot for everything, and you're going to have to let it cool. That's why I put the timer on for only 4 minutes. Okay, so hack number 3 seems like a no-brainer, but I couldn't tell you how many times I forget to do this, and then I'm take your yeast out of the fridge. It's this simple. Here we go. Pull out your yeast from your fridge and set it on the counter. You put it on your counter. Basically what I do is when I know I want to make bread that day, when I'm making my coffee, when I go to reach for my cream, I pull out the yeast. And that's it. Hack number 4 is hydrating your flour, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So, I'm going to take salt, hefty amount of salt. I'm going to mix it in. And now, this is if you have a child at home, this is the job for them. So, you take your water, pour it in. So I had 3 cups of flour there, and I had 2 cups of water, but I didn't put it all in yet, because I want to wait and see if I'm going to need more. Sometimes on a humid day, I find that the flour doesn't take in the water the way that you want it to. So, goopy mess. Okay, so this is just tepid room temperature water, just making sure it's not scalding hot, because what this is going to do is not only does it hydrate your flour, but I'm using unbleached flour, so it's going to activate all of that natural yeast that's happening on here. We're just going to leave that for 2 hours. And I know that you might be like, 2 hours? Holy crap, I can't be spending all day. But like I said, you can leave and do whatever you want and then come back to it. It's no biggie. Hack number 5 is going to sound really simple and like, duh, I feel like, of course we're going to do that. But for many, many, many years, I under-seasoned my bread with salt. Salt is the activating flavor ingredient, just like in cooking. You need it in your bread. Of course, you don't want to over-salt. What I've learned over the years is for every cup of flour that I use, I want a pinch of salt. So be generous with your salt. You'll learn with trial and error. But at the end of the day, by making your own bread, you are limiting the amount of industrialized ingredients. It's natural, it's flavorful, you get your anger out when you're kneading, and you'll have a wonderful product. Sure, it's not going to last 5 weeks on your counter, but it shouldn't. Get into making your own bread, because trust me, you're going to have a better product, you're going to feel better about yourself in the health sense, and you're going to limit all of those gross products that companies are putting into their bread to preserve it, and you just don't need it. So please like, please share, and don't forget that I will be at the Dartmouth Makers Market this weekend, May 25th and 26th, with my tasting menu called Just a Taste. And if you want to try my fish and chips from MasterChef Canada, you sure can when you're there. You guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week with another food video.